We're live.
Says the stream is live.
All right. Frankie, can you give me a thumbs up? Can you see us? Hello. Okay.
How live are we?
You're on. Okay. Sri Lanka live stream with Matt and Roothy. So welcome to our first live stream with the big fella. He's up in Brisbane, and that'll be Roothy, and I'm Matt, and I'm down in Torquay working from our new office. So tonight we'll be running through our incredibly popular Sri Lanka ride from Woe to Go. So have your pencils ready. Take notes. I'm going to give out some prizes at the end, so there might be a little quiz at the end. So we'll have a bit of fun. We've got some patches, t-shirts, maybe a leather satchel to give away. So ask questions. We've got a few stories that'll pop up as we go along. I might give out a couple of t-shirts to the best questions. So stay tuned for the next hour or so. We've got a bunch of stories and information to share. So as I said, I'm Matt from Nevermind Adventure. We've been at this cave for about 15 years. We've just hit up about 25,000 Ks I have in Sri Lanka. So that was the theme of this one. I thought, well, there should be a few stories and I should be able to answer all your questions by now. And we've got John Rooth up in Brisbane, who's been with us for quite a few years now, on and off, doing various roles. But now he's finally got to the stage where he's been able to tag along on quite a few of our bike tours. Sri Lanka was the first in October last year, Patagonia and Ireland. So g'day, John. How you going?
I'm good, Matt. How are you? I'm really good, actually. It's good to see you, mate.
Yeah, it's good to see you too, mate. I mean, it's been about a month since we got back from Ireland. How have you recovered?
What can I say? I'm not drinking Guinness anymore. I guess I've recovered a little bit.
Well, you're looking well, and I know you've had a bit going on. So, we'll push through, and this is all about Sri Lanka, so we won't go into too much detail about the other tours and that. So, any of you guys that are watching live, you got any questions? Jump in the comments, and we'll keep track of them and try to answer them as we go along. And I'm sure we're going to have a good laugh. So, without further ado, let's jump straight in. Roothy, did you know that Sri Lanka has over 100,000 kilometres of paved roads, and that's the highest density in the world of paved roads?
Yeah, sure, but some of them are 2 metres wide. Let's get real here. Some of them are 1.5 metres wide. Some of them are paved over old. Look, yeah, I'd believe that, but what do they got? 24 million people or something?
23 last time I checked. It could be 24 by now.
Well, we've been there. We've been there, haven't we? We've probably stayed too long, you know. Those Rusty and Mitch, they've probably done something there somewhere down the line. Hello, guys, if you're watching. Gee, I made some good mates on that trip, mate. That was an awesome trip.
You did.
That's amazing. They got more sealed roads than what, per capita sort of thing?
No, for the size of the country. So Sri Lanka is about the size of Tassie. It's about the same. Tassie, Ireland, and Sri Lanka are all about the same size. Tassie's got maybe 1 million people, I think.
500,000.
500,000. Ireland's got about 5.5, 6 million.
That's right.
Pretty small population for the two countries that are there, and Sri Lanka is the same size, got 23 million. So it's a fairly large population, and they're good at paving their roads. As you know, I mean, tell us about the quality of the roads there.
The roads are superb, and they certainly have they've got the latest technology in terms of paving the roads. You know, they're hot mixing them and all that sort of stuff. I mean, we had a few genuine racetracks there, but I think the best thing about it was the fact that they don't have as many big heavy trucks. They have hardly any heavy trucks, and I guess that, and the fact that it is condensed and there's a sort of a speed limit of 80 k's an hour, they're not hacking up the roads like they do over here.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like there's 23 million people there. That's
Well, no, I mean, they're little people, you know. I don't mean that in a. Yeah, I do actually. They're kind of yeah, right. You know what? They're not obese, are they? Sri
No,
Lankans?
they're a healthy bunch with big white smiles. That's what I remember.
Yeah. Oh,
Big toothy,
so
ear-to-ear
friendly.
grin. Yeah.
So friendly. And you're right, there's people everywhere. You think you're on your own. There's monkeys chattering around in the trees, and you haven't seen anyone for 5 or 10 minutes, and then you come around a corner and bingo, you're right in the middle of the main street of another little village. So there are people everywhere, but there's a good reason for that too. And I think, you compared it to Tassie, but thing about Tassie is, and it's the same with Sri Lanka, not so much Ireland, but Tassie and Sri Lanka have got so many mountains that I would love to know what the actual surface area is. Do you know what I mean? Because if you were to flatten them out, they'd be kind of like pancakes with more milk added. There's a lot more there than you see.
Well, Sri Lanka is very mountainous. I think a lot of people don't realise, 2,000-3,000 metres. Tassie only goes up to, I think, 600, 700 metres,
Yeah.
It's quite mountainous. Yeah. So it's quite amazing, the diversity of that island. Just before I jump into facts and figures, what sticks in your mind from October last year in Sri Lanka? Before you answer, I can see Mitch and Rusty have just jumped into the chat.
Oh, have they? Hello, Mitch, and g'day, Rusty. So I won't mention them as jumping straight into my mind.
We'll come back to them.
I hope so. That'd be good. Be good to say g'day to them. No, look, if I had to say one thing, it was that I was surprised. I realise you're very good at this and you've been there a lot, but I was so surprised by the quality of the accommodation on that trip, which I guess you could say it surprised me on so many levels because, Sri Lanka is not a first world country, not by a long way. They had a big civil war, that only ended 12 years ago or something, which is why it's so fresh now and probably why everyone's so friendly. There's a little bit of that post-war thing going on. But some of those places we stayed in, Matt, I mean, that's accommodation that sticks in my mind that you probably never see anywhere else in the world. Those beach bars and things like that, that was pretty phenomenal.
That little one we sat at, had a sundowner and went for a swim just near Tengol, Goyamboka.
How good was that?
That is probably one of the favourite places of anywhere in the world we go. So,
and when you hit it at the end of a day of motorcycling, because I don't know where we'd been that day, but I know we'd come down through the mountains. We'd been on the bikes probably 8 hours or something.
We came down from, I'll run through the itinerary later. We came down from Sindharaja Rainforest Reserve.
The diversity. So few Ks, and look at the diversity in country we travelled. I mean, I guess that'd be the second thing that sticks in my mind, just the sheer diversity. The fun. But anyway, that's all right. You've asked that question. I've given you 10 answers.
I mean, we're 8 months later. I just wondered what was the first thing when you think about that period of time that, that sticks in your mind. And that was an incredible trip, incredible group of people. And some of you are in the chat now, I can see. And we've got some classic stories that come out of that one, which we might bring up a bit later on in the chat. So, so as we said, Sri Lanka is about the size of Tassie Island, 100,000 k's of beautifully paved road, all twisty curves, not incredibly busy, 23 million people. 80% of those are Buddhists, so Sinhalese people. The rest, the other majority are Tamil Hindu people, more related to South Indian culture, more in the northeast of the island. Religion, cricket's their main religion. And obviously Buddhism down in the south and southwest, and Hinduism in the north. And you can see the differences in the temples as you ride, as the ride plays out. As you go from, we start in the southwest, and we head around to the south coast and up the east coast, and then back through the south. So you can see it, how it all intermingles in the areas where they overlap as well. It's really cool to see that.
It's incredible cultural experience, isn't it, really? Yeah. I mean, I was just looking, through my photos to refresh my mind earlier. And, Karen and I, when we were in Colombo, went to visit a Buddhist temple there. And we were hanging out with the orphans, and, they take in orphans at the temples, which is kind of really nice. And there's a certain piece about their Buddhism, which I think probably infects the whole island, really, doesn't it? They're just such lovely people. But that was different to what we experienced elsewhere in the island. So, it's how can a small place be so diverse? It's amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like, it's, talk about the demographics of the place. Like, you have the Sinhalese, which are the history of, there's sort of a grey area, but the official history is that they have been there for quite some time, several thousand years. The Buddhist religion, and they're sort of the 80% of the population, and have a fairly, stronghold on the island. But then you've also got the Tamils, which are, and this is what the Civil War broke out over, and thank God they're all at peace now. But that are the Hindu people and related to South Indians, and the official story is that they were brought in only in the 1800s by the British to work in the plantations and whatnot. And they will, that's actually disputed history. They'll say, no, we've been here just as long as the Sinhalese, which is probably makes a lot of sense. Maybe they were brought over in greater numbers during the 1800s by the British, but it's a fascinating history, And
it is.
Yeah, you can see it as you ride around.
It's incredible history, isn't it? And one of the things I think I learnt there, when we do these trips, you learn your little lessons, like what's Colombo like, or what's it like to have a beer in a beach bar or something like that. And then you got your big lessons. And one of the big lessons I think made an impact on me was the fact that, first of all, war is just a handful of people. It's politics at the top of it, because most of those people didn't want anything to do with it at all, did they? There's such a lovely bunch of people. To force them into war against each other must have been a big effort. And the second thing is this bullshit about where you came from. I mean, we're probably the ones who can say this honestly as Australians, but I heard an American the other day say, well, my family's been here 400 years. This is just on some podcast. And I felt like saying, well, hey, mate, my family's been here, I don't know, 500,000 years. We've been around for a while. I don't know where we were or what we were doing, but who cares? And it's the same with the Tamils. Most of those people, in fact, all of the ones we met, were born in Sri Lanka. Doesn't that make them Sri Lankans?
Yeah, we all share a common ancestry.
It's the same thing, isn't it? Like we travel the world, and you just can't go with this, my family's the original family. We were making fish and chips here in Wynnum on the mud flats 150 years ago. Oh, who gives a shit?
That's right. We've got some questions here, Roothy.
Oh, okay.
So Kim's she just said, this is a good one for you, Rooth, because I know you've got a story about this. Is there anything special we need to know when we're at the temples about behaviour and clothing, etc.? I know you...
be modest.
Yeah.
Be modest and that goes for the ladies too. We're in their temples. Look, you travelled heaps, Matt. Obviously, you've travelled more than me, and I've travelled heaps. When you go somewhere like that, somebody else's temple, doesn't matter. You don't have to know anything about the religion. Look at what they're doing. Look at what the locals are doing and do what they're doing. Take your shoes off. If there's shoes outside, take yours off.
I think also we always ask, like it's...
you can always ask.
Is it okay if I take photos? Quite often I say no.
I think being humble is big. Don't just go in there with the attitude that I'm visiting, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Anyway,
exactly. That's about it, really. I mean, it's not you're welcome everywhere. So, Tony, have we had a dance off in our undies like we did in the Himalayas? No, Tony.
Is that one of your friends?
It's like Tony, Himalayan rider from 2017 or something. We had a
What'd you do?
High altitude underwear dance off. So Tony, it's about time you come back and did Sri Lanka.
You can do a low altitude dance off in your undies, but you can do it in and out of the beach.
Yeah, that's right.
Perfect.
And you go for a swim and wash your undies at the same time. So, industry and economy in Sri Lanka is like, that's amazing as well. Just to ride around and see. You can see tourism's a massive part of it. But I read something today that tourism's increasing by 70%. The numbers of tourists 70% each year for the last 3 years since COVID, which is just mind-boggling. But it's largely agricultural. Tea plantations, rubber, rice farming, that sort of stuff. And you can see it as you go around. There's a bit of forestry. Another fact I came across today, which I didn't know, they're the largest tyre producer in the world. So there you go.
Tyres?
Apparently, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, according to Wikipedia, I think I saw it on. So there you go. And the East Coast, another I think I'll point out too, people ask, we run a October and a February ride, and what's the difference, what's the best time to go? And the interesting thing with Sri Lanka is that being a tropical island, it doesn't really have, February's great, you're going to get a bit of rain on the East Coast, but it'll be dry on the West Coast. October's different, you might get a little bit of rain on the West Coast, but it'll be dry on the East Coast. So, they're both great times to go. October's quieter, less tourists, so I prefer it personally.
You should point out, Matt, too, that Sri Lanka is so close to the equator that there's not that much seasonal difference. That, I know it gets wet and dry, whatever, but it's hot most of the time. And the beautiful, I'm a Queenslander, I love a bit of heat, but if you're thinking about, oh my goodness, I need to take 200 lots of wet weather gear to Sri Lanka because it might rain, forget it. You look forward to a little bit of rain. It's really refreshing. The only time I felt like sticking on another layer because it was raining and I might get a bit cold, and it didn't rain much anyway, was up in the mountains when it does get a couple of degrees colder, eh? That day we climbed, how far did we climb in one day? Was that 3,000 metres?
Yeah, it's over 2, yeah.
It was big. It was big. And I put another jumper on and I got wet and I dried out again. By the time we were in the bar, I didn't bother changing. I was dry. Yeah,
so there's a question. So it's actually with riding gear is the best thing to bring is just a set of those plastic waterproof throwovers, the Oxford set, just carry them in your day bag, and if it does rain, you can just throw them on. You're not going to get cold. It's warm the whole way around, and it's just they'll keep you dry,
Yeah.
I personally don't even bother with that. I just get wet, and then 2 hours later, dry. So it doesn't worry me.
Hey, there's me and Karen. We just got wet too, and we had our Oxfords with us, or they were dry riders, but same thing, and never bothered to put them on except that one day up the mountain, and that wasn't because it was raining. It was because it was cold, and that was the easiest layer to get hold of.
Yeah.
But it's just about perfect riding conditions, I reckon.
Yeah. So, along the way, we're going to see a lot of wildlife. We see wild elephants, leopard in Yala National Park. Hopefully, they don't always see leopard. We spotted one in October a long way off. The trip before, I saw 3 of them up close. I've seen them before, and every time I see them, it's mind-blowing to see leopard in the wild. Even elephants, we're riding past wild elephants. It just, it almost brings a tear to the eye.
When that elephant stepped out on the road in front of us, remember, just after we left the park?
Yeah.
And the bus came at it, and the guy kind of swerved at it, to push it off the road. But that was one of those mystical moments, really. It was. To confront an elephant in the wild. Wow, how good's that?
I know, it's incredible. I'd say there's not many places in the world where you will you can still do that.
Yeah.
It's
No.
largely locked up. There's the sea life. I've seen, giant loggerhead turtles. There's humpback whales. It's just, swimming amongst it at some of the beaches. Just some of the experiences I've had. So it's a great place for wildlife spotting. The jungle safaris, nice relaxing afternoon out in Yarla in the back of the Jeeps. We get time to do that sort of. One of the great things about Sri Lanka is you're not just on the bikes all the time. We get time to get off. There's a few half days, there's one rest day. You've got time to have a really good look around. So by the time you get to the end of it, you're like, yeah, I've seen Sri Lanka. I've done it.
Yes, more than seen it. You see it if you're on a bus. We experience it. I think there's something about riding a bike. That day we stopped somewhere up the back hills. We'd just been through a whole bunch of tea plantations. There's no way in the world you get a bus through those. Yep. And we popped into this little village, and there's a guy, he had half a dozen samosas, and there's about 20 of us.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Sammy Samosa, he's just flying them out, and we're sitting there with a bit of newspaper and some of the tastiest samosas on the corner of a mountain road, which was sealed in the middle of nowhere, tea plantations all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very special, mate. Very, very special.
So do you remember any of the language?
No. Apiyamo.
Yeah.
But only because you shouted it at me about 200 million times, me and everybody else.
So
is it Apiyamo? Is that what you said?
Apiyamo means let's go. So we do like to learn a bit of the lingo as we go around, and Sinhalese is the most common language there, so we typically will use that a bit. As Roothy's just pointed out, Apiyamo is let's go, so that's a very important one. The other one, I don't know, Rusty and Mitch are in there in the chat. Do you remember? Oh, Steph's just jumped in. So does any of you guys remember how to say g'day in Sinhalese? No takers? Do you remember, Roothy?
No.
Are you Bowen? Are you Bowen? Are you Bowen?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It's a bit like the Hindu sort of Bali. Their greetings are like, may you live a long and peaceful life. It translates. It's something really beautiful like that. Are you Bowen? How you remember it? Are you buy one? And then I would respond, oh, I might buy two. So,
are you buy two?
Are you buy one? I might buy two. So are you buy one? And the other one to remember, thank you. Stuti. Stuti.
Say it again.
Stuti.
Stuti, that's right.
Stuti, thank you. Or Bahama Stuti, thank you very much. So they're the three big ones, that
I need to go back again.
Yeah?
Matt, I've forgotten all my Sinhalese. I need to go back again.
There's some other ones that I can call you. Amada Hukana.
Amada Hukana.
There's no Sinhalese people listening. Any Sri Lankans out there? That's a naughty word. So yeah, I mean that's just a run through about I guess the geographical situation in Sri Lanka. The history. Sri Lanka actually controlled a large part of India and all the way up to Burma back in the 800s, 900s. And it's almost like a marine silk route. Like its place in the world. It's the ports. It's got three big ports: Colombo, Galle, and Trincomalee. And Trincomalee is the largest deep water port in the world, natural deep water port in the world, and it's been, that just put Sri Lanka as a real valuable place for every major world power that is, seafaring world power. So European history goes back to the 1400s. The Dutch were there, the Portuguese, the English, obviously. But before that, the Sinhalese empires, they branched out. They had their own empires, and there's even, dating back thousands. They reckon it goes back 125,000 years of human habitation in Sri Lanka. So it's incredible. there's a cigaria line rock. We'll get to that later, but some of the stories and the mythology around some of these places is up there with the pyramids. It's real. There's a lot of mystery there as well. So, if you haven't been there, it should definitely be on your bucket list. So,
well, can I just interrupt you there, Matt? Because I hadn't been there, and I'd been to lots of places, and I don't know what I was expecting, but it was a bit like applying a can opener to the world, because if you can think you might know what a place like Sri Lanka is going to be like, but you haven't got a clue until you go there and feel it and pick up on the history. I mean, we had one heck of a cultural experience. It started out with the dancing. Remember that? That was awesome down at the Rock Fort.
Yeah. I mean, well, I'll go into the Rock Fort. There's a story behind the Rock Fort. There's a bit of history with Nevermind and the Rock Fort, so we'll get to that. But yeah, you're absolutely right. On another note, I've been just preparing for this talk. This session today. I was sort of just doing a bit of Googling, and I've ridden 25,000 Ks in Sri Lanka, and is that me beeping or you?
No, I'm seeing little messages. Turn your phone on. Oh, turn your phone on silent. Everyone can hear you. Okay.
I'm not sure who that is, but having ridden so much and done a dozen trips there, there's still stuff I'm learning about the place. It's so interesting. And another little fact I come across: they have a life expectancy of nearly 80 years, which is 10% higher than the global average in Sri Lanka, and a 95% literacy rate, which is as good as, if not better than here in Australia. It's incredible.
Well, yeah, but what did we see over there? Healthy lifestyles, very few obese people because of the diet and the exercise. I mean, just daily life requires exercise for most people over there. And then the other thing we saw was kids in school uniforms in places where you knew every building in town had a dirt floor. And they were immaculate in their white school uniforms, going to school, signs to universities, signs about education. They value education over there. They don't, they're trying to, it's only in a country where it's kind of fat and pudgy and it's a bit too easy to get by, that education, you have kids showing up to school going, I don't really like the teachers and I hate school. Over there, they're all going, here's your chance. You can get an education. You can learn how to, progress in life, whatever. They really value education. I couldn't believe it. I know there was a couple of times on one side of the road, you got a paddock with some wiry, bony little guy riding one of those diesel engine cultivators, sloshing through the mud, and he's got mud up to his neck sort of thing, and he looks like he's been doing it for the last 50 years. And then on the other side of the road, you got kids in immaculate white uniforms lining up to wait for a school bus. It's just incredible.
I wonder, having been through a 35-year civil war, brutal civil war from the 70s right through the 90s, the 2004 tsunami, which just devastated the country, COVID, then they've had some recent political unrest, having a population that's had to endure all that, I think they value some of the simpler things like access to education and healthcare and that they've got now, probably more than we take it for granted sometimes,
We do. I think we take things like that for granted. That's exactly what it is, Matt, because when you go there, you realise that they don't take anything for granted. No. Every day is a fresh experience. They're happy to be part of it, and they want to try and get through it in the best way they can, which is why they're so nice.
Go on.
No, I was going to say, I don't see how it can last, a huge amount of time. It's going to be a while, but the reason Sri Lanka is so good is because it's fresh. No one went there for a long time. You've opened it up. You know, all I can say to anybody out there is get in soon.
It's Bali, Thailand 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And they've recovered so well. And I hear good stories about the new government that's in, and they're doing some good work. And people seem. I think the new PM or president's from he's from a farming background. He's quite down to earth, and I've only heard good things. So it's the future's looking positive for Sri Lanka and Sri Lankan Airways. They've pumped a lot of money into that airline, and they're doing direct flights from Melbourne and Sydney now. Great flights.
Oh,
Yeah. So 10-hour flight from Melbourne every second day, and it's roughly $1,000 return, incredible.
Whoa.
So that's so accessible, Bali's 6.5, 7 hours, it's not much further to go. It's not as busy. The riding's incredible. The roads are quiet. The roads are good, It's, we could go, we could go on about it. Let's talk about the food.
Let's talk about the food. I got a message. People keep sending me messages. What's going on?
Turn your phone on silent.
Hey, listen, just on your last point, yes, it's very accessible. If you want to maximise your experience, I reckon, okay, and this is not blowing wind up your pants or anything, but I reckon if I'd gone there on my own, it would have taken me 3 months.
Yeah.
If Karen and I had gone, it would have taken us 3 months to get a handle on the place. We would have seen a lot of things, but as it is, I feel like in the Nevermind tour, because you knew where to go, we didn't waste any time. We saw the best bits. We managed to experience the whole thing in one hit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Nevermind meant 2 weeks as opposed to Roothy and Karen on their own with the thumb out, 3 months or longer. So don't talk about. It's all right to say easy access, as in you lob into the airport, but what happens after that? Where do you go after that? And you might have a guidebook that says go here, but who knows who wrote that? You need the experience. That don't discount.
My wife will tell you that a lot of that comes out of my, obsession with researching some of these countries, and like Sri Lanka was years and years in the making, and then it's like you get over there and you find, and every time we go, we find, like I said, I find out things about the place, and so it's great for you guys who don't have the time or necessarily the patience to do that. It's like, it's done for you. So it's, and I love sharing it. I love sharing it with people. It's real for me. That's the it's so rewarding. So. But yeah, food. Do you remember the egg hoppers? Little pancakes in the fry pan with the cracked fried egg in it?
Yeah, that was different, eh?
I could have one of those right now. Delicious.
Well, I think my particular memory of the food was just those rice lunches we had. When you get like different types of fried rice, and we did. You seem to know where to pull in. We pulled in at one stage in a real hole in the wall cafe just for lunch, and the next minute there's all this sort of prawn rice and chicken rice and veggie rice and all these different types of rices and flavouring. I love food like that. But I think that I'm not a seafood guy, but I can appreciate it, and I think that was probably some of the best seafood I've ever had. And the curries are out of this world.
The prawns are 6 inches long, they're like lobsters and delicious. There's some fresh seafood's a real highlight of Sri Lanka. It's like it's better than, as good as, if not better than, what I've had here or anywhere in the world. So if you like seafood, freshly cooked South Asian food, delicious. They do some great on the road lunches, noodles, fried rice, that sort of stuff. And the evenings, it's generally a coconut arak whiskey or a cold lime lager, and fresh seafood. It's the food's incredible.
And then there's all because we went to a few touristy places. There there was some really nice alternatives too. I mean, just when you were hanging out for a hamburger, you found a hamburger, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they mix it up well. So no, it's great food, fresh and healthy, and it's a real highlight of the trip. Frankie's given me the wind up to start talking through some of the itinerary. So I'll just quickly talk about the itinerary, John, and maybe jump in and something triggers a story or a memory. Just jump in and let me know. So we fly into Colombo Airport. It's about 20 k's north, and we go to Negombo on the coast, on the west coast. Beautiful little place to start. Everyone meet up. We'll have a little welcome dinner there, and then the next day we'll jump on the bus and we'll go down to Gaul, about 2 hours south, and that's where we start the ride. So the Rockfort hotel there, that's our base. We've been working with those guys for quite a few years. A friend of my own actually owns that, but I'll get to that story shortly. And then we basically follow the coast south and east, heading inland to the ride up to Sinharaja Forest Reserve, which is the last remaining old growth forest in Sri Lanka. So it's a proper pristine jungle in the mountains. You might remember the lodge we stay in up in the hills there. It's probably a 6-hour ride, short little ride, beautiful jungle villages. And it's not super high, but it's nice and cool up there, waterfalls, little home-cooked meal, a family-run guest house. And, it's a beautiful evening, peaceful.
Yeah, I mean, that's an example, eh? Super comfortable accommodation. You've got your own room and bathroom and all those kind of lovely facilities that are so good at the end of a day on a motorbike. And then you got that family atmosphere around the dinner table. And that was a meditation retreat, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, they do some of that. Yeah, sort of.
Yeah, they sell beer as well, so it's all good. They got all bases covered, I reckon.
Yeah.
But you forgot at the Rockfort. You wouldn't have forgotten, but you organised it. We had a Buddhist monk come along, and he tied a string around everybody's hand. Remember that, around everyone's finger, and linked us all together.
Yeah.
And that string worked. We believed in that.
Yeah. Yeah, we do that on a lot of our rides. All of them where we can. It's just to show a bit of respect to the local deity, and when you're on two wheels in a foreign country, you can never be too careful. I think it's best to tick all the boxes. So Sinharaja famously was the last place that the Sri Lankan lion was spotted in the wild. So in the 1930s, and there's been talk there may be still a few out there. I haven't seen one, but if they're going to be anywhere, that's where they'll be. From there, we head down to the coast again, the south coast. Beautiful little ride. Some of the corners on the way down are incredible.
Weren't they fantastic?
First gear stuff, it's just so tight. And then no country, just bush on either side, just us cruising around, waterfalls and mountain streams. And we get down to Hirakadia. You might remember that Horseshoe Bay, beautiful beach with all the clad Europeans. We stop there for lunch, have a swim, hang out there for a couple of hours actually, and it's a cool place. We don't actually stay there because it's a bit hectic for a bunch of dirty.
It was very touristy, but it was just wonderful for a little while to cop the Euro tourist scenery. That's the nice way of putting it. You know what I mean? There was a lot of bikinis and things happening on the beach there. It's kind of nice. We had a lovely lunch. We had a 10-minute rain shower while we were there, and then we got out of the place and got back to the sort of back hills and our own people. Great.
We follow the south coast for another hour or so. We pull into a place, Tangal, and we've got a little secret little spot there on Goyamboka Beach with log cabins right in the jungle on the beach with the little beach bar, with the waves rolling right up under the. You might have seen it on our YouTube clips. The water literally crashing under the watching the sunset, swim, body surf, and then having a beer, and just it's surreal. That is, like I said earlier, one of the best places of anywhere we go in the world.
I got a photo of us in that bar with the surf cracking underneath it. You know, the little bamboo bar looks like it's going to slip down into the ocean any minute. And there we are. It's late in the day, sun's going down. Just had a swim in the bar, having a beer and a feed. And I've got it in my office at work as a what do you want to say? A concentration thing. You know what I mean? I can look at it and go.
Motivational.
I have been there. It's motivational because I was, for the moments I was there, completely lost. It was one of the best experiences I've ever had.
Yeah, it's special. Yes, that's a highlight. Guys, if you've got questions as we're going through, just chuck them in the comments and we'll address them as we go.
I can't see any, Matt. You'll have to do that.
So if there's anything pops up, I'll yell out.
Good on you.
You may get a prize for the best question. It's t-shirts to give away. So from Tengol, we head up to Allah for 2 nights. No, we don't. We go to Yala National Park. Sorry, I made a mistake there. So we ride it. The largest national park in Sri Lanka. Takes up it's almost a big chunk of the southwest part of the island. So we pull in there. And we jump in. It's only a short ride, 3 or 4 hours, and then we have some lunch, and you've got the opportunity to jump in for a jeep safari through the national park. They don't let us ride the dirt tracks through the park, so the jeeps are allowed to take us to some of the places. So you'll see buffalo, you'll see elephant, you might see 50%. You'll see crocodile, heaps of incredible bird life, kingfishers, eagles, vultures, all sorts of stuff. You'll see, you may see wild leopard. I've seen them a couple of times. So it just depends, it's like, there's no guarantees with this stuff, but it's 3 or 4 hours out in the bush, cruising around in the back of a jeep. It's fun, You can smuggle a beer along if you want, as long as you don't get too boisterous. So after that, we're all pretty cooked. We'll usually have an early night, and then the next day we do ride through the national park to get up to Allah. So that's typically where we'll encounter wild elephants and all sorts of crazy stuff. So you literally got to ride straight through the national park for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and anything goes. Like it's just a fun way to start the day. And then we head up into the mountains, 2,000 metres up to Allah waterfall on the way up. And Allah's like something out of Lord of the Rings, isn't it, John? Like you're sitting on the clouds up there and just looking over the whole of Sri Lanka.
That was incredible. I mean, just the geography of it, being sort of perched on the side of the mountain. But then, that way is Sri Lanka, and you turn this way and you've got a little town where it's all happening, a full-on tourist town. Choose whatever you want, go wherever you want. Restaurants to suit to everybody. All the backpackers were there. Certain people got tattooed. All sorts of things happened there, eh?
Yeah, there's been a few Nevermind tattoos issued up in those hills. It's becoming a bit of a tradition. I've got one there myself. That's from up there, from Allah. It's typically you sign up for one of those. It's on the house. We'll shout that. But we've got some stories we'll get to later. So we have 2 nights there. So Allah's a great place to chill out and have a look around. There's heaps of secret waterfalls, hiking. There's 9 Arches Bridge. There's just a lot of cool stuff up there to check out.
We by this stage of the trip, you started to link up with people. You're part of the group, and I know Karen and I spent most of that day with Steph and John from down near Port Macquarie, and they were just lovely people. And we went and walked the railway track. Went and took it. You can do this in Sri Lanka. I keep talking about Australia as the land of nothing but rules. In Sri Lanka, you can walk next to the railway track. No one's going to stop you. Now, if a train comes, it might stop you. But so we went for a wander. We walked to the top of the hill, walked down the railway track. Every time we saw the arches. What's that bridge with that amazing?
Yeah, Nine Arches Bridge. Yeah.
9 arches. I was going to call it 7, but 9 sounds much better.
You might be right. I could be wrong.
But it didn't matter. It was just so far out in the bush. And I remember as we were walking back, we dropped into a bar just to have a couple of drinks, and we ran into what was his name? Dougie Zollo.
Yeah.
And he'd been out adventuring with someone else. I think he was out with from Geelong. What were their names? Spanish couple, Spanish Australian.
Yeah, Albie and
Anna. Yeah, he was with Albie and Anna, and they'd lobbed into another Buddhist monastery up on the back of the hill and seen. They'd been invited in to be part of a local ceremony, and they showed us a few photos later that they'd snuck out of that. Man, that was incredible. There's a value in having a day off in a place like that, like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
Well, you would believe because you planned it, but well done, mate.
Yeah, you need 2 nights up there. It's something very special. I mean, from there we shoot down to Aragon Bay, surf capital of Sri Lanka, then up the east coast to Passakuta to the 5-star resort, Malu Malu, with this fresh seafood barbecue on the beach. I mean, then we head up to Miller Valley, some more log cabins on the beach. Those two days up the east coast, like the east coast is all about riding the coast and exploring. It's just a lot of fun, easy going.
6 words: fresh seafood barbecue on the beach. It doesn't explain how good it felt, how good it tasted. How good was it?
But the riding's just incredible. Like it's that. This is where we're heading up, and you're just watching the culture and the geography change from the southwest coast to the east coast. Doesn't, as you get further up, doesn't get the waves. It's more like a bay, like it's flat. And the water's warmer. The beaches are long and sandy, and the culture changes into a more Tamil Hindu culture. You can see the Hindu temples and the cows on the road. It gets a little bit more like India. It's really cool to see. And then we head inland to Sigiriya Lion Rock, which is it's full of mystique and mystery. Bit of a hike up to the top, but totally worth doing. You can see some pretty cool footage on our. Go for a look through the YouTube channel. Yeah. Takes about 45 minutes to hike up there. It's all steps, so it's handrails, so it's not too bad. But the view from up there is like nothing I've ever seen. Like, you talk about looking over the whole of Sri Lanka. It's a geographical centre of Sri Lanka, so it's very cool. Just jungle all around.
And they don't know, do they? I mean, they suppose that when Sri Lanka controlled its empire, that's where it was controlled from, because it's such a natural fort to start with. And then they've come along and engineered all the other things into it, like the water tanks that are always full right at the top. And there's quite it's funny, isn't it? You're brought up to believe the 7 wonders of the world sort of thing. Well, guess what? There's 8, and that's it.
Yeah, there's a lot of question marks around that place, and you get up there, your mind, just your imagination goes crazy. It's like trying to work out how some of the, there's been, the whole country was ruled from the top of that rock at some point.
Yes.
There was palaces, and hydraulic engineering was invented by Sri Lankans. Like back in those days. That's another fact, interesting fact. People don't know.
It is. It's kind of weird, isn't it? Because of our cultural upbringing, our schooling, whatever. We all know about Egypt and the pharaohs and pyramids and all that kind of stuff, and we all think, gee, that's wonderful, isn't it amazing? And yet, on an island the size of Tasmania, off the coast of India, they were ruling pretty much their known world for a long time, and there's so much history and technology that we don't even understand. Just there. I find that incredible.
there's all sorts of stuff like yeah. Some if you can go down the rabbit hole on YouTube, look up Cigaria Lion Rock conspiracy theories, and there's so many cool theories going around about how that place was created. So anyway, we'll push on. The next day we ride back up into the mountains to the tea plantation capital of Sri Lanka, Nuwara Eliya. I reckon this is one of the best days riding motorcycling of any trip, any of our rides anywhere in the world. Like, I love this day. It's a big day, we leave at sort of 8:39. We won't pull in till 4 or 5 o'clock. We stop a lot. Beautiful little swimming holes along the way. Just jungle, twisty, winding roads all the way up into the clouds. And you pop out of the clouds and you look around and tea plantations up there.
Yeah.
Incredible.
It felt medieval sometimes. Some of those little villages we went through, they were incredible. But the twisty roads, we don't have enough time to explain how good these trips are, Matt. But one of the components for me as a motorbike guy was just the number of corners you can get round on an Enfield and scrape the pegs. There's an awful lot of just good riding time every day in Sri Lanka. Yeah. It's just fantastic. In fact, I don't know.
That day riding is the second last day on the tour. I reckon it's just, even now I'm getting excited thinking about it. I'm drooling.
Totally. So, I get it.
We'll be back there in October, mate. It's you can do it all over again if you want.
Hey! Stop! Hang on. Just need to record that a little bit. Oh, that's right. We're recording the whole thing.
Always welcome, Rooth.
Thinking about it. Stop.
So the next day is the last day. So we have a really nice night up there too. We found a little club pool hall that does great food and really looks after us when we head up there, and a few games of stick, and then the next day we head back down to the west coast into Ngombo again, back where we started. Drop the bikes. It gets a bit hectic coming through town, but by the end of the trip, we're all ready for it. I've got one funny story. You've met Big Al from Geelong.
Yes.
You met him in Ireland, but he did Sri Lanka with us back. 3 years ago or something. On the last day, we're coming through Colombo down to the coast. Last day of the ride, we've got our corner markers in place. I've worded everyone up. Said, right, if you're on a corner, it gets pretty busy. We're coming into town. Make sure that you're quite animated. You're waving, and so the other riders can see you. So if you don't know about corner marking when you're riding along, I'll always, if I'm up front, I'll put someone on corners, and it's their job to tell everyone as we go past, go left here, go left, or go right, or whatever. So Big Al, he's a former boxer. He's a big guy. He's probably 6'4", built like a brick shithouse, and he's on right. I've told him to be animated. We get in. Everyone gets in. He's done a great job corner marking. We get to the hotel and we're all having a beer, and we're like, someone's missing. We're missing Big Al. And he's a bit of a character, Big Al.
Oh yeah.
All right, we can't leave him out there, and so we go back. I jump on the bike and I go. I remember what corner I put him on. It was about 4 blocks back. I go back there, and there's just a swarm of people, school kids. He's given boxing lessons. This is on a traffic island in the middle of the highway. Giving the kids boxing lessons. The police are there trying to arrest him. He's half of Colombo's out making videos. The nightly news is there videoing it for the news that night. And he's just having a ball. I go, sorry, mate, we left you there. And he's like, no, it's all good. He goes,
no, it's all good.
Yeah, leave me here. I'm right. I'll come through when I'm ready. He's basically signing autographs. So we rescued him.
He is one of those guys that's impossible not to like him once you get to know him. He's awesome. I love him. Yeah, I can see that, and I can see Sri Lanka falling in love with him too.
Oh, he loved the place.
I probably thought he was an Aussie cricketer because he's built really well.
He's always fun to travel with, but
isn't he?
On the stories, the way Sri Lanka came about. I talk about the Rockfort Hotel too. I probably told you this story, John, but the guys out there listening. I mean, we had a bit of a break during COVID. Obviously, we couldn't travel, and I had to suck it up and go work a construction job for a couple of years.
I met you in Penrith. Yeah.
Yeah, that was towards the end of my construction career, thank God. But about a year or two before that, I'm in Geelong, and we're working on some roadworks here, building a highway for the state government, and I'm in the crib hut, and a young Sri Lankan bloke comes down, and he's a student engineer. He sits down next to me, and he's pretty quiet, and he doesn't say too much, but he's a bit nervous. And he's probably at that time he's 23 years old. Last year of uni, and I go, "Well, where are you from, buddy?" He goes, "Oh, I'm Sri Lankan." He's just got that beautiful big Sri Lankan grin. He's just, someone's talking to me, friendly, and we became really good mates. And over the next few months, I got talking to him, and we hadn't run tours in Sri Lanka before COVID, and I thought, motorbike tours and travel was it, a thing of the past. It was never going to happen again. And he's like, "Oh, my parents own a hotel in Gaul on the west coast of Sri Lanka." I'm like,
wow.
And he's showing me the website and the pictures, and the light bulb went off.
Oh wow.
Where is the light bulb? I've got one here on the skull. Can't see it.
Yeah.
There's a light bulb tattoo. I'm an ideas man, so I'm a tattooist. Put a light bulb on my arm. But anyway, just that started going off, and I guess we're really quiet because of the COVID and all the tourism. The tourists aren't coming. I said, I could probably help you out with that. And I flicked an email out, and next thing you know, we're riding motorbikes around Sri Lanka with a bunch of Aussie bikers, and never mind was back off the ground. So it's thanks to Sammy, my mate from Sri Lanka in Geelong, and he's in Melbourne now in the Rockfort Hotel. We rocked up there, and they just looked after us so well, and it's it's become a big part of our culture, and we always go back there, and I love taking people there. It's helped them out. It's helped a lot of the small businesses and hotels get back up and running, and just us promoting it. Like people come and travel with us, but also a lot of people don't ride, and they're I've seen Sri Lanka go from from not really on the tourists that to really start to. So get over there and see it before, while it's still reasonably undiscovered.
Yes.
So
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, these are the Rockfort in a cool spot, right on the rocks there on the beach. There's sort of places for a sundowner. So
Karen and I watched the sun go down from there.
Yeah,
and boy, we were imbibing at the time, and it was probably one of the most relaxed evenings I've ever had. It was lovely.
Yeah.
And the surf's crashing in on the rocks down below. You don't get this in Australia anymore. I'm sorry, you just don't. We've got too many rules. You couldn't have a place built like that in that place in Australia these days.
I don't think I don't think they've got the necessary permits still, but that's anyway. I mean that's the ride in a nutshell. I don't want to drag it out too much longer. We've been going for an hour, but if any of you guys out there have got questions, feel free to put them in the comments post. Kim, you're definitely going to get a t-shirt or a pack of some for asking all the best questions. Any of you other guys, feel free to jump in. We're here to answer your questions. I won't go into detail. You guys probably all know that we have, we have a support van. You don't have to carry your luggage. We ride Royal Enfields. We've got the Himalayans and the classics over there. So we've got a mix of bikes, and you ride at your own pace. It's very easy and it's fun. So
it's the most fun you can have with your pants on. And a lot of the time, you in particular don't have your pants on. So it's just wonderful. It's just a wonderful place to be, a wonderful holiday to have. And, one of the things we haven't covered here, which I think we've talked about before, but this is probably the best way to do it. If there's people from that trip watching this, if Mitch is there and, Rusty and Steph and any of you guys, Anna, we were a team. In 2 weeks, because of motorcycles, we formed a team. We became such good friends it wasn't funny. And I know that trip for me, because that was my first Nevermind trip, and that was like hitting the reset button so hard. When I got back from Sri Lanka, I felt lost for about a week, you know. I had to kind of go, hey, what's going on here? How are we going to work this? Start again. Best thing ever.
It really is a special place. I mean, so what we can do is I was going to I've got some giveaways. I'm a bit overstocked in T-shirts at the moment. So Kim's asked a heap of questions. How much cash, she said. Well, there's ATMs are pretty widely available, especially in the tourist centres like Alla and Gaul. So, you know, I usually say to people, bring $500 in Aussie to Sri Lanka, maybe $1,000, and just keep it somewhere safe. And you'll probably go home with quite a bit of that. Use your card in a lot of places. Get an ING card or a card that doesn't charge you international fees, because like most of the Aussie banks will sting you quite hefty. But like ING and there's some other ones that they reimburse you all your ATM and that sort of thing. So, but you don't need a lot of cash. Depends how many beers you drink.
They're not expensive either. Unfortunately, maybe they should be more expensive. I seem to remember thinking more than once that it didn't cost very much to have a wonderful night.
Yep. There's a few. Oh, Rachel's popped in. She's going to book for next year, 2026. So any booking forms that Frankie, you can put this in the comments as well. Any booking forms that come through tonight, we'll throw in a T-shirt and we'll post it out to you. So make sure you put your address on the booking form and your T-shirt size, and we'll check that out tomorrow, and we'll pop one in the mail for you. So keep that in mind. We've got a few spots left over this year. Yes, sir.
Oh, don't call me sir. Hey, listen, do you sell the Nevermind patches?
No, we just give them away. You want one?
Yeah, I know. And you gave one to me, and so I've got to show you this photo. This isn't going to work, is it? There it is. I don't know if you can see that. This is my best leather jacket, and look, up there is a Nevermind patch, and on that side is a kangaroo. Now, the rationale behind that is Nevermind is over the heart because, you know, fair income, that's where my heart is. And I think, you know, a lot of people need to understand, you undersell yourself, mate. You're just sitting there with your glasses and I think it's a beanie, but it could be a German tank helmet. It's a beanie, all right. You're sitting there, mate. You undersell yourself. What you and Frankie do on these trips is like magic, you know. You expose foreign places to people in a manner that's not just pure holiday, it's pure experience. And that's what we've found. We're finding that we're getting 3 to 6 months worth of holiday out of a 2-week trip. And I think, you know, really, I saw that the last time around when we looked around at the 15 people on the trip, and I think 10 of them had been on trips before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't undersell yourself, mate. And you guys out there watching, take it from me. I've done a few things in my life. This is the best thing you can do.
Well, there you go. And look, you saw the patch. We've got heaps of them. If you want one, just for joining in, email us your address, matt@nevermindadventuretours.com.au. I'll post you one out.
There you go.
Thanks for your support. I really appreciate it. So, you know, it's something for nothing. They're a cool patch. You know, wave the flag for us, send people our way. Really appreciate it. All right, I've got 3 T-shirts to give away. I've got 3 questions. How do we greet someone? What's the Sinhalese word for g'day in Sri Lanka? Who's got it? Someone in the comments. No one. Oh, no one wants a free T-shirt.
I can't remember, and I said it every day. Come on.
second guy in the comments. Surely he's going to jump in. Oh, yeah, Rusty got it.
Oh, what
Rusty,
Rusty say?
Frankie, Rusty gets a T-shirt. Kim, you already got a T-shirt for asking the best questions. How many kilometres of sealed road in Sri Lanka? Closest guess wins. I did mention it several times earlier in the talk.
Yeah, you did.
No one's got it.
27,000?
No, not even close.
270,000?
No, can anyone know? How many kilometres of sealed road? Come on. Oh, Jonesy's gets it. Righto. I think Jonesy's got 120,000. It's 100,000. So we'll give Jonesy. Jonesy can have the T-shirt, second T-shirt. All right. What's the national sport in Sri Lanka? An easy one. Come on, guys.
Come on.
National sport for a T-shirt. If you've already got one, you can't get another one. Don't give it away. Come on.
I'm not trying to give it away.
Someone. Curry eating. No.
Well, it's not really a sport. It's more like a lifestyle.
Email us your address, or if we haven't got it, and we'll send you a T-shirt with a size, mate. Well done. Cricket. I don't like cricket. So so we've got October 16. We've got a few places left coming up. That's 3-4 months away. Plenty of time to get in there. I think I'll personally be on that trip. I'm not sure. You may or may not be there. It's all a bit of a grey area with you, John, at the moment. So
life's a grey area for me, but I'm thinking a lot about it because just sitting here talking about it, like, wow, it's just brought so many great memories back. I love Sri Lanka. Yeah, I might just be there, man. Maybe you can stay at home and I'll just do it,
Okay. I'm going. So, jump on it. I mean, www.nevermindadventuretours.com.au/Sri Lanka. You know where to find it. You know where to find us. Thanks, everyone, for jumping in. The other thing I did want to just flag with everyone tonight is a little special I'm pulling together for some of our guys. What I've noticed that, as you said earlier, a lot of our guys, very few do one tour. Most people will do all of them over a period of years. And I thought, well, how can we make that work for people, and how can we reward people for coming back? And I thought, well, maybe, Frankie and I were talking, we could do a special, the Nevermind Trifecta. Three continents. So here, you heard it first here, right? We're going to put this up eventually, but you guys heard it first, and there's only limited numbers of this we can do. So we would give you 50% off your Sri Lanka tour in October, but you have to commit to doing 3 over the next 2 years. So why not lock in 3? You like our style but can't decide which ride? Why not choose 3? That's right. I've got this written down. 3 tours, 3 continents. So book Patagonia and Ireland in 2026 or 2027. So over the next 2 years, book it. Pay from up front if you think you're going to do 3, and I'll give you Sri Lanka in October half price. Nothing to pay today. Just email us say you're interested in the Nevermind Trifecta, and I'll make it work for you. So basically, you'd end up traveling to Sri Lanka or Rajasthan if you've already done Sri Lanka, and you'd get that one of those tours half price. So you do Sri Lanka in October this year, you could do Patagonia in January next year, and you could do Ireland in May the following year, and you get your Sri Lanka tour half price. Or you could do Ireland in May next year and Patagonia in February 2027. Or you could do January Patagonia next year and May Ireland if you're really keen and you've got time. So it's a great way to save some money and help us, fill our booking sheet for the next couple of years. And I think most of the people who've done one tour will be interested in that.
I think so.
And it's just as long as the tour's paid up before you go on that tour, we're happy. So what do you think, John?
Three never mind trips
Yeah.
is tantamount to changing your life. That's what it amounts to. Do 3 trips. You're never going to have so much fun. You're never going to have so much adventure. And never mind, you're going to be back for number 4, I reckon. Because I know that's my story. I love them.
Yeah. Well,
doing good.
I'm excited to work out which one you're jumping on next, John, because you're not giving much away at the moment. So.
Oh, come on. I'm just, look, I've been having so much fun away. I come home, I have a lot of trouble getting back into the normal stack of work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you do know what I mean.
That's the downside to it. Rachel just asked if there's a bonus prize when you've done all of the Nevermind trips. Yes, Rachel. Oh. I haven't worked out what it is, but
Lithuania 2035.
That's okay, Rachel. That's what it's going to be. It's like that you get a VIP place on our next new tour, which could be somewhere that I'm not ready to announce yet. So let's see. So so I mean that 3 tours. I mean, they'd normally you're getting roughly $5,000 off. $4,500 off. And if you do the trifecta, I'll throw in the full Nevermind pack with the leather satchel, long sleeve t-shirt, short sleeve t-shirt, wallet, head sock, any of that merch stuff. I'll package it all up and post it out to you. So there's another roughly $1,000 you get. So it's a big commitment, but like I said, it's over a couple of years. We're pretty flexible with dates and whatnot. So, you only live once. Check it out. All right, John. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. If there's any more questions, have your say now. Are we going to Africa?
Ooh.
We will be at some point. There's a lot of irons in the fire. So stay tuned. Jump on our email list if you're not on it, and that's where you will find out all the latest. We'll be doing some information nights, probably down here in Torquay and up in Brisbane over the next few months is the plan. So we'll come and see you all. We'll run through all this again, and we'll do it live and in person rather than just online. So that's all for tonight, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Get in touch. You know how to get in touch. Email us, call anytime. Look forward to riding with you all. What do you got to say, John?
Thank you, Matt. Thanks very much, and goodbye and hello to all the Nevermind family. Wonderful.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Roothy. Thanks, Frankie. Big thanks to Frankie. She's the brains behind it. Big thanks to my wife, Hannah, who's come in the cold to support me and bring me my stuff. I think it's going really well. We'll tap out there, and I'll end the live stream. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. See you all soon.
See ya.